live on Facebook. So welcome. It is 6:59 actually. Want to make sure we get everything started on time. Having a little technical difficulty with the video for Amy, for the panelists. And Amy, if you can't figure that out, just, I see your name and I love having your name there. So we'll keep trying. It does show on my end that both the panelists and the host now should have video access. So other than that, I don't know what to do. So did you sign in as me this time or as you?
No, I logged out and signed. I did my invitation, which goes to me. I'm just going to see if I can edit it. And then if not, then I'm just going to stop trying.
Okay, so thank you all that have joined us. I'm looking here. I see Bill Bergdorf. Thank you very much for joining. I know you had one of the ones that had some difficulty. Nancy Camden, glad to see you. Kathy Schultz, just talked to her today. So thank you for joining us. And Sue. So other people joining. I see people joining as I'm speaking. So I'm not going to keep stopping to say hello to everybody. I'm going to get myself positioned in my chair, and I'm going to take us live on Facebook. So we are going live. So welcome to the Facebook world. I've already said welcome to those who have joined from their phones or tablets or computers. I just want to say welcome now to everyone. I wanted everyone to have access to this training. It's been on my heart for quite a while, and I'm going to be I'm going to talk about being authentic tonight. So I'm going to be authentic with you to say this is making me a little nervous. Being this exposed. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm a murderer or anything like that, but just letting someone totally in has been one of my challenges always. So that said, being transparent, welcome to the webinar called What's Holding You Back? What is holding you back? And I want you to be thinking of that. I have a note here coming through. 1 minute. I can hear you fine, but it's funny, if I switch out of the Safari window, the audio continues. When I return to the webinar page, it makes me turn the visual back on manually. That's from Catherine. Catherine, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not on your end, so I can't see all the messages you're getting. I hope it works great. I hope you get to listen to everything. Thank you for joining us, Catherine. I'm looking forward to getting together with you next week. So now I'm going to go immediately. We are being recorded. I'm going to go immediately to share my screen and share this presentation with you. So here we go. What's holding you back? What is holding you back? And I don't know if any of you have thought about this since you got the emails. I tried to be very open in the emails. I shared some kind of private things with you. I shared the comment on the email that you got today that I just received a couple of weeks ago from a client who said, I'm not going to invest another dollar in this book that's not making any money. And when I saw that email and I read it, and that's not an exact quote. The exact quote was in the email, though. I really stopped and said, okay, I think here's my message. Here's what I need to be doing. Here's what I can be doing to help people, because that rang so true to me. And honestly, again, being authentic, it was like kind of how I felt about perceptive public relations right now. We've gone through some changes. We've been doing a lot of changes, changing the business model, a lot. So I'm going to talk about some of those later on. But I'm like, this is where I need to give the webinar that I had prayed about, thought about, been encouraged to do last year and never did. So tonight, so hold on to your hats. This is going to be a lot of sharing from me, and I want you guys to be prepared to ask questions or post something in the chat. And Amy, you can hear me, right, Amy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Amy, if you'll pay attention to the messages in chat and to the Q&A, and I'll stop occasionally, but feel free to interrupt me if it's something that we need to talk about then. Also, I want to go, I'm going to turn away just a tad for a second and go over and open up Facebook and making sure that I have the Facebook Live going. Yes. So feel free to ask questions there as well. So if you're here on the webinar, you can also open up your Facebook and put questions there, or you can put them here, or you put them in the chat. So let's go. So here we go. I'm going to go start this as a slideshow. If I remember how to do that, it's been so long since we did a webinar. Yay! Okay. So what author wants to be on the New York Times bestsellers list? Do you want to be on the New York Times bestseller list? Because that is the number one. There's all kind of bestseller lists, and here's a few of them. The grandfather of them all, the one that's the most coveted, all of that is the New York Times. Is that your goal? Would you like it to be your goal, but you're just kind of hesitant about making it your goal? And are you looking at it just like from a very limited level and saying, I just want to sell a book. I just want to sell a few books. I just want to recover my cost. What are you saying to yourself? What do you hear from yourself when I ask you, do you want to be on the New York Times bestseller list? I read the story today. I don't know if Kathy Lossman is on or not, but hold on. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Sorry, and I'm turning my phone off now. So where was I? So let's back to, okay, so I'm sorry, I forgot where I was, and I apologize. I let the phone distract me because I thought it was Amy calling me, and it was not. So, okay, so who wants to be on the bestseller list? Okay, I was reading today in one day this week in my preparation for this webinar presentation. And I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff Goins or not. Jeff Goins is a writer that makes a living at writing. Thank you, Sue. She said the feedback is really bad, so I'm not sure what to do about that right this minute.
Better now, Sandy. You're good.
Okay, thank you, Amy. So Jeff Goins had written this article, and I actually saved it because I'm like, I want to talk about it some tonight, but the title of his blog was What I Learned from Not Hitting the New York Times bestseller list. Jeff Goins is a bestseller. He's been on the New York Times list several times, but he had a new book that came out last year, and his goal was to be on the New York Times bestseller list. So he did everything that he tells people to do. He did all of the blogging. He had the team. He did everything. His goal was to sell 10,000 books at the launch because that's what he had determined through his numbers that would take to be on the New York Times bestseller list. So he didn't make it. And he has written a whole article, and I will share it with anybody that wants to see it, on what he learned from that. Brene Brown is one of my favorite authors, especially lately. I've been reading a lot of her books in the last few months. And one of the things that I read in one of her books said, I have never seen any evidence of how to working without first talking about the things that get in the way. When I read that statement, I was talking to Sue about it earlier today when we had a call. When I read that statement, I'm like, okay, that's where I want this webinar to come from. I love how-tos. you know, anybody that's ever been on any webinar or attended anything I do, I love tips. I love to write tips. I love to share tips. And I could share a lot of tips. But if those tips don't get you past what's blocking you, what's standing in your way, what's coming between you and where you want to go, and whether that's the New York Times bestseller list, whether it's another bestseller list, whether it's not even whether it's an Amazon bestseller, whatever your goal is for your book, before you go into how to sell more books, you want to see what's standing in your way. So one of my big prayers and part of my journey for the last year has been learning to trust. I was just made aware really early last year that, you know what, you're just not, you have no trust in you at all where God's concerned. And so I really started praying about it, started looking at this journey. And do you know what showed up for me all year last year? Not areas where I trusted, but things that kept me from trusting. That happened once and I didn't see the answer. And so things came between me and my learning to trust. I heard Bellany DeShong say in one of her courses that in one particular year, a couple of years ago, she had said at the beginning of the year, "This is my year to be healthy." Well, instead of showing up as, okay, I'm eating right now, I'm exercising, she ended up being in the hospital with a high blood pressure. Doug, her husband, had a heart attack. And she told me what showed up for me was the areas that were not healthy, that I had to be healthy. So those are all my examples. Now we're going to talk about what is holding you back. You particular. This is not addressed to everybody on the call. It's to you. What is holding you back? And so before I give you some how-tos, which we will do that, of course, I could not do that. Before we do that, and before I tell you about my vision being so close to being a reality that I'm just ecstatic over it. But for all of that, I want to look at what is holding you back. What could be holding you back? Now, here are some facts, okay? The fact is, on a general rule, no one knows who you are. So especially if you're a brand new author, and maybe you've been working at it for a little while, so you're not totally new. So you've got a community. You have a following. I have a following. I have the maximum number of friends I can have on Facebook. I have over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. I have 10,000 on Twitter, and then, a couple thousand on Instagram. So I have a following. However, if I were to announce tomorrow, my goal is to have, to sell so many books or sell so many products, get so many people into my courses. Honestly, none of that makes a difference because there's people that don't know who I am. So as an author, people have to know who you are. They have to be able to find you. So to get to that New York Times list, people have to know you're there. A lot of people I meet, a lot of you I've already talked to, have real jobs. Jim Enderley, one of my favorite people that has been in our courses for the last few months. Jim and Roger Leslie, another one but neither one of those will be here tonight. That's why I've mentioned them. Jim has a real job, a full-time job. Darnell Wright, who's a client, has a full-time job and a book. So that gives you limited time. That's a reality that holds you back. It's not like a feeling. It's not like a doubt. It's a reality. Also, there are a lot of books published in today's world. In this year, there were over 1 million books published. Well, getting one new book recognized and recognizable, we all know that holds us back. And then there's a lot of people the people that have always wanted to write a book can now write a book because it doesn't, and a lot of it is retiring. And just from pure numbers alone, the boomer generation is next to the millennials, the largest population of our country. Okay, those are people that are retiring. What are they doing in retirement? They're buying books. I mean, they're writing books. So these are real facts, things that will, not can, but will hold you back. Does that mean it's not possible? Oh, hell no, it doesn't mean that. It is possible. If you look at some of the people that are bestsellers, E.L. James, I'm mentioning two that are very well known, E.L. James and J.K. Rowling. So those two, very well known. There's a new kid on the block, and he's been a bestseller for years, so several years. Justin Cronin. He is in Houston. He's a professor at Rice University. He's got 3 books. The first one is called The Passage. I sent in one of the emails I sent out, it had his name and email address, his website. And he published a book back in 2010 that after he really worked it, it became a bestseller, and it got picked up for a movie, which hasn't been made yet, but it was picked up for a movie, and then he wrote 2 others, and all of them together, they're working on the movie now. I have already followed him on Twitter, followed him from his website, signed up to get his blog. Any way possible I can connect with him other than actually reach out and call him, which I don't have his number, or I would have done that. I did call a friend of mine, Faye Walker, who previously was a professor at Rice University, but she said she'd been gone long enough that she didn't know him. She's reaching out to some other professors at Rice to see if we can find out who knows Justin Cronin, because I want to have him on Author Talk. I want to talk to him. My goal starting now for the next few months, one of my goals will be to research best-selling authors. What's their story? How did they get there? What did they do? What do they do that you're not doing, that I'm not doing? Because my goal is to have a client on the New York Times bestseller list. So this is not all altruistic. So the reason we go to the how-tos is because it's easy, because I go to them. So I'll say me, the reason I go to how-tos for my training and for my courses, because they're a lot easier to do than this one tonight, I can tell you. This one takes part of me. This one means I'm sharing more of me. And this one means I'm going to ask you some tough questions. The how-tos are fun. They're attractive. It's easier. And I'm going to talk about some examples of that in a minute. Well, I'm going to talk about it now. So I did a course last year called 21 Secrets as an example. This was 21 different tips, secrets, how-tos to get to be a bestseller. 21 Secrets to Becoming a Bestseller was the title of it. I realized when I got done with that, I had so many more secrets that I could have shared. I could do a 21 Secrets at least every quarter, maybe every month, and never repeat. Because there's that many tips, and every time I look online to do research, I find newer ones, new people, new. Lots of tips that I could count and claim and practice and share with you as a secret. But all of those secrets will not get you to the bestsellers list as long as something is blocking. As long as, first of all, if you don't believe you can be a bestseller, you can't. It's like Henry Ford once said, you can believe that you will succeed or believe that you won't, and it's true. So whatever you believe, that's what will happen. So that's one example of the things that we could do for the how-tos. The other one I had was, and I was talking to Sue about this today too, healthy eating. Do you know, and I have a nutrition coach, my doctor, because I'm diabetic, my doctor wanted me to see this coach, and I see her like every other week. And I was talking to her the other day, and I told her, I said, I could write a book. I could write a book on healthy eating, I could write a book on what you're telling me that I should be doing. I know it. I've been to every weight loss program that you can purchase. I've done most of them, and obviously not forever. I still, just knowing what to do, just having all the tips, having all the recipes, didn't do it for me until 5 months ago, talking to my doctor, and she said, here's the deal. Either you start eating healthy, or I'm going to have to put you on insulin for your diabetes. And I'm like, okay, not going on diabetes. So you know what happened? I made a commitment. I did whatever it took to not have to go on insulin. I gave up eating breads, anything white, bread, rice, potatoes, chips, crackers, you name it, anything. I also started watching all of my carbs, so I don't eat fruit, and I don't eat a lot of vegetables that have carbs in them. So I eat mainly low carb, and I'd already gone to a no salt and other diet, so very restricted, and I have done it been 100% perfect since then, since August. And that includes Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, birthdays. My family goes out to eat on a regular basis. And I'm like, you know what? I either will get something I can eat or I won't go. I am that committed to this. So when it comes to being a bestseller, that's one of the things it's going to require, is being committed that whatever it takes, whatever setbacks you have. And to start with, the first couple of months, we went on a vacation. My husband and I went to see the eclipse, driving across country, all of that. It was tough. There were some times then, that was my first week, and it was really tough. So, however, it's like, I am committed. I am committed. So what's really holding you back? Forget about the number of books. Forget about the number of authors. Forget about nobody knowing you. You need a platform. Forget all of that stuff. That's all stuff. We know that's there. What's really holding you back? What is it? For me and my healthy eating, it was strictly no commitment. I went on a diet, or went on with the intention that as soon as I could possibly get off it, I would, and I did. And the big thing that I got off from, the quickest thing to make me quit, was failure. So if I stayed on a very strict regimen of eating for more than a month and I didn't lose the weight I thought I would lose, honey, I was gone back to eating what I wanted. Not so this time. It has been 3 months since I've lost a pound. And my nutrition coach told me last week, you have to show your body who's boss. Right now, your body thinks that it's boss, and it's trying to show you that it's not going to do what you want it to do. You have to show it that you're the boss. So we'll see who's boss in this, but definitely I'm not going back to eating. I am committed to that. So what's really holding you back? Here are some things that hold a lot of us back from, I don't know if my picture is in front of that for you. This holds in whether you're in a business, whether you have your own business, whether you are a fiction author and you're doing it for fun as a hobby, whether you are writing as a career, whether you're planning multiple books, whatever. These are some things that hold us back. So I want you to look down the list. I'm going to go through the list, not spend a lot of time on it, because I want us to have some time at the end to talk about some of the things that I have, some of my dream, my vision, my change in direction for this company. However, I want us to address these, and then the answer to it, the answer to how you overcome these, we're going to talk about that. So a lot of us are held back by being afraid of what somebody's going to say about us. I don't know about you, but I raised my hand to that one. And plus, I used to be very afraid what people were going to say about my kids. I want my kids to be perfect, too. So I want my kids to, do wonderful in school and be friendly, and wanted that for my husband also. But always careful about what people think. Now, when it comes to writing, that one would get me for sure, because the thing I love and I'm most honored about working with authors is that I wholeheartedly applaud you for bearing your soul on paper. And even if you're writing a fiction book and you're not, you're not going deep into anything, just having people read your writing and critique it. Oh my gosh. I think about that a lot. What will people think of you? Will they think you're a good writer? Will they think why is she writing a book, or why is he writing a book? What do people think? So that's something that maybe you have to overcome. Perfectionism. I have most of these apply to me, so I have to be honest and tell you up front. I told you this is going to be a tell-all kind of presentation. I honestly never thought I was a perfectionist. I really didn't, until I started working with all this online stuff and press releases, working with really, I guess, having my own business. Is I realize that sometimes I will do something 50 times before I let anybody see it, because I'm so afraid it won't. Now, that goes back to what people think, but also because I want it to be perfect. I remember a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was not doing webinars then like I am now. I did a lot of live in-person trainings, but not webinars. And I kept saying I was going to have a webinar. And every time I spoke, I used to speak at a lot of networking events. And every time I did, I would always say, I'm going to be starting a webinar. So if you're interested in my webinar, click here, check here on the form, all this stuff. And I remember once I was speaking at the at Tony Gambone's networking event in Katy, and his wife Wendy came up to me afterwards and said, he had some feedback. I'm like, oh dear, what is this? She said, well, one of the people said to me, you've been promising a webinar for a long time. They don't really believe you're going to have one. And I'm like, well, you know what? That makes two of us. I don't think I'm going to have one either. And it was just like really an eye opener for me to realize, if you get out there and tell people you're going to do something, you better well do it. They're expecting that, and you've made a commitment. So when you talk about being a best-selling author, when you talk about being on any bestseller list, Amazon all the way to the New York Times, anything like that, it's like, okay, you're committed. You tell people, I'm going to be on the New York Times bestseller list. Well, they expect to see you preparing for it. They expect to see you marketing. They expect all of this. So don't be a perfectionist. Learn that it's perfect enough. Honestly, if I waited until we didn't have any technical issues on these webinars, and I honestly, Amy, when you and I were talking today, I was like, thank you that we got the technical part of this down. And Nancy Camden, I know you're here and you're the technical guru, so you probably think this is hysterically funny. But if that had to be perfect, I would still be waiting to do that webinar. So got it. Check. Fear. They always say, what's holding you back? Fear? Yes. A lot of times it is fear. It's fear of failure and fear of success. You're afraid if you get out there and do all this and don't make it to a bestseller list, you're going to be considered a failure. I want you to read this article, this blog post by Jeff Goins, because that's exactly what he said happened to him when he did not make it to the New York Times bestseller list. He learned a lot. And it turns out that, of course, this, which always happens, there's a lot of very good things that happen as a result of it. So fear of failure, but also, what if you do become a bestseller? Oh my God, there's responsibility that go with that. You have to keep it up. People expect to see you here and there. It's not all just sitting back and collecting the money. As a matter of fact, sometimes you're on the bestseller list, and what if you got a big advance from your publisher and you didn't sell enough books? You now owe money. There's a fear in all of that. And then a lot of us compare. Don't you ever compare yourself to someone else? I'm like looking at somebody saying, oh, Jenna Rodriguez. Jenna, I love you dearly, but I always think, oh my gosh, if I could just be as confident as Jenna and step out there and just say what I want to say. And she does. And she gets what she wants. And I'm so proud to know her and work with her and be in her community. But I still have a tendency to say I should be more like Jenna. Our self-worth comes in. Do we really think that? Do we think that we could be a bestseller? Is it possible? Is it possible that little Sandra Wheeler, that was a very shy, introverted child, and grew up in a very abusive household, all of that, is it possible that that same person today is doing live webinars, is standing on stages, is writing books, is teaching courses? Is that possible? Yes. And you know what? I have worked on my self-worth for over 10 years, and I can say today, without this little, I used to, I'd say, well, I believe in myself. I really think I have value. And there'd be this little kind of feeling in my heart or my soul, my chest that said, you don't really believe that. You're just saying that. You just want people to think that. You just want people to think you're cool. I can say it now, and thank you, God, give credit that I do see value in me. Thank you to all of my personal development coaches over the years, and my current one, to Bellany DeShong, who had a great webinar earlier this afternoon. I listened to that. So doubt, that's kind of along the lines of self-worth, but do you doubt whether you can make it or not? Do you say, I would love to be on the bestseller list, but I don't really believe that's possible? I don't really believe it's possible for me. So Catherine Schwartz, you're there. Brian is there. Kathy Howizen, all you people that I saw, Sue Hawley, and I know I'm missing some of you because I'm not going back to look to see who all is on, but all of you that are watching, I want you to be the bestseller too. I want to be the publicist for a New York Times bestseller. So also then, we always think about this. Is this cool? Is it really cool to say, I want to be on the New York Times bestseller list? Is it cool to say, my book should be on the bestseller list? My book could be on the bestseller list. And so I've been talking to Russell. Russell's one of our clients as well, and he couldn't be on tonight because he had a business meeting. And I was telling him, Russell, here's what we have to do for book 2, which will be coming out this year. Here's what we have to do to get you on the bestseller list. So there are some things you have to do. These are all great. We do want to correct all these. We want to work on all these. We want to pray about all these if you pray, or ask the universe for help. However you get help on these inward kind of emotional aspects of your life. However you do that, work on it. And I would love to be part of that. I would love to talk about that in our courses, address some of that in our coaching calls. And so we will get on. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Right now, Sue gave me this quote today, actually, when we were talking, and I was telling her about what we were going to do on the webinar. Goals and achievements can't be reached without discipline and consistency. And that's Denzel Washington said that. Isn't that interesting? And I just saw where on Facebook, Steve said, some people are held back because of the investment in paying for the creation of your cover and paying an editor. And Amy, I see that you responded. That's a great one. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes, Steve, when I tell you about what we're going to be doing with my vision, which my vision, I'll tell you now, is and has been for years, to have a community where authors get support, where they learn from each other, and I've got all that down, so let me not get ahead of myself. So let's review what we just talked about. So we talked about there's a lot of books published today, more than any other time. We talked about the competition. These are what I said were the real facts that hold you back. Not anything of yours, not any self-doubt, none of those. This is a fact. There is a lot of competition. Do you know, if I based whether I was a publicist on the competition, if Brian Bearden based whether he was a web person based on the competition. If Amy did not get into social media because there's too many social media people, none of us are in a place where there's not heavy competition. So what I want to do is I want to have this community. I've been looking for a long time for the right vehicle to use to do that, to have a membership. So how do you create a bestseller? So stay on target. We talked about all the reasons you can, or all the things that are holding you back. That was the title of this webinar. What's holding you back from being a bestseller? If you already know some of the things that are holding you back and you want to share them with us, you want to put it in the chat now, I would love for you to do that, and we can either share them or not share them. If you want to talk to me personally, I would love for you to do that. Send me an email and say, let's talk about this. Catherine Schwartz, you and I are going to get together on Tuesday, and I am confirming that. So we'll talk about anything then with you. Now, how do you create a bestseller? What I want you to get from this whole discussion tonight, from the webinar, from all the talking, and it's not over. I just looked at 7:35. Wow, I wanted to make sure I didn't go past 7:45. So good. I want you to get that you can be a best-selling author. I wanted you to say it. I want to say it like this. You, Catherine, you, Kathy Schultz, you, Kathy Howizen, you, Sue Hawley, you, Brian Bearden, you, whoever you are, Anthony Harris, you, Anthony Harris, oh my gosh, you can be a best-selling author. Anthony, you should be a best-selling author. Anthony was my client for a while, and he writes the best books. I was so impressed with his books and all that he's done. And one of these days, Anthony, I'm gonna keep bugging you. One of these days, we're gonna get some of your books on the bestseller list. So Sarah Hanson joined. Thank you, Sarah, for joining. I know that's Sue's daughter. Andrea Cooper, thanks for joining. All of the others. And Amy, do we have any questions that I need to stop for?
No, you're good.
Okay. So I want you to get that. And what I want to do is now share with you a little about my vision. Let me see. Okay. I want to help you. I want to build an author community that helps you tell your story, helps you with building your platform, helps you with creating your online presence, all of the above. And my dream is, and I don't know if you're familiar with membership sites or I guess membership sites. I don't know if you belong to anything where you actually have to go sign in and you're part of a membership. And so I belong to several. And so I have wanted to do that for a long time. How do I provide the services and the support and the and everything that you need as an author and authors need? How do I do that? And how do I make it affordable? So, because I can tell you, just like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, when someone says to me, I'm not spending another dollar on this book that's not making me any money, then I hear you, okay? I hear you loud and clear. You're not going to spend money that you feel like you're throwing down this dark black hole, and you're afraid you won't see the results. You're afraid you won't be able to reimburse yourself to make a profit, or even to break even. You're afraid of that. So I'm going to talk to you now about my vision. And that's my vision, this community of authors. Right now, for lack of a name, I'm calling it Author Marketing Community. So this community, and I'm going to take a break in just a second and let somebody else tell their experience with being part of an author community. Let me see what the next. Okay, so what I want to do in this community is give you the how-tos. So to get to that community, so I'm not ready to launch it tonight. I'm not ready to say, join the community. Another thing we're adding to what we do is affiliate program. So if you're not familiar with how an affiliate program works, Amazon probably has the most well-known of all. So if you go to Amazon, I can sign into smile.amazon.com, and I get to pick whatever charity, and a percentage of what I pay Amazon goes to that charity, which I have done. I want it so you can be part of this author marketing community and make money. So yes, there will be a fee to be part of it. Very small fee and different levels. So there will be one free level that you have access. There will be one very small middle level. We haven't settled on all the prices yet. There'll be one medium level where you get to attend the you attend the webinars and you get the replays and all of that, and you have access to the whole community. But you get to attend the webinars and the courses live, so you get interaction with Amy and I, because it will be Amy and I that'll be doing all these courses and doing this program. And then I'm going to have a higher. So those levels will be in the neighborhood of $17 a month, $27 a month, and $47 a month, something along those lines. And then there will be one VIP level for $97 a month, which will entitle you to be part of a group coaching program that will meet either once or twice a month. I haven't decided yet. Depends on the need and the people. So that's where I'm headed, just so you know. I will be formally launching that in April, second quarter. Right now, Amy and I are getting all the systems in place, the rules, like the rules to, not rules for people that join, but rules on the software side. So getting all this stuff set up, working on our landing pages, working on all of that. So we'll be continuing to talk about it. What I want to talk about and offer you tonight to actually begin to join this community is a course that talks about these how-tos. How to create a bestseller. How do you create a bestseller? Whether you've already got a book, whether you've got multiple books, like Kathy Schultz told me today, she has 4. So wherever you are, how do you create that bestseller? And then it'll be everything you need to know about creating the bestseller will be in this course. It'll be a 4-week course. And I'm kind of getting my slides backwards here because I didn't put them where I thought I put them. So this is the author marketing community that I've been talking about. So don't need to talk about that more. So here, we will begin a 4-week training course on February 12th. That will be the day that we actually do this. And the title of it is How to Create a Bestseller. So that's coming up. We're going to start February 12th. That's Monday night. We're going to try Monday nights for a while and see. And that will be at 7 p.m. on Monday night. If you're interested at all, remotely interested, or like I would like to check it out and see, if you want to work together as a community, and in this community, we will be doing the things I talked about earlier, supporting, learning, teaching, building. And then some of the practical things like buying books from each other, reviewing books, sharing each other's blog posts. So you coming out with a new book, we have Sue's launching her book on the weekend before Valentine's Day, so the 9th and 10th. This community would all go buy Sue's book or download the free version of the ebook, go post a review on Amazon. We will be supporting each other. We'll be sharing the blogs, sharing your social media posts. We will be commenting on recommit. I think I meant recommit, but not sure what I meant there. But anyway, that's all details of what this community is going to be like. So designed specifically for you. And I'm working on it. Amy and I are working every day. So for the course, here's what you get. The 4 weeks of live training recorded, so you of course can miss a session and get the replay. A bonus week Q&A, which we do that with all. So this is going to be like, of course, what we did last year. live. The benefit of these courses, this course, is the live interaction you have. So we're starting, this is the start of that community, this course. And from that course, which will end sometime in March, then we will have a couple of weeks, and then we'll start in with the full-blown community affiliates. I'm going to make sure anybody that's interested has their own affiliate link. With the way the affiliate will work is that if you sign up to be an affiliate, and I've already had, I think, 12, 13 people that sent me an email after the email I sent out and said, please add me to the affiliate list. So once you get your, once you fill out the form and do all the stuff you have to do for taxes and stuff, then you will get a link. And every time you invite someone to come to this, to the course or to the webinars or to anything, if they come through your link, you get paid. So let's say this webinar tonight was free, so nobody makes money on this tonight. But if you had used your link, your affiliate link tonight, then anyone who actually paid for the course that I'm getting ready to tell you about, anybody that did that you would get a percentage. And it's not like a 10% or anything. It's a sizable percentage. And so it's something like 30 or 40%. We haven't quite got to that yet, but it will be at least 30%. So, so we get a bonus. And then, wait, there's more. Then there's the community, the membership community, the affiliate program, all that. So how much? So I've talked about a lot of things. I've talked about the community. I've talked about, I've talked about what's holding you back. What's keeping you from being the bestseller? How can we get you to the bestseller? And then from this community, that's how I see you getting there. Not that you can't get there on your own. Not that you can't go out all by yourself and just knock the ball out of the park and get there. Together, I see that as being a major influence, major leverage for you. So where do I sign up? So let me tell, I didn't know if I put the price in or not. So this webinar, now last year when I had them, I charged to $197, and I always let everybody that was at the first one at the webinar get half price, so $97 instead of $197. I'm cutting all that in half because I want people in this course who are interested in building this community. Period. When I talked to Kathy Schultz this afternoon, and she said, well, I've got this much money that I can spend. Do you charge more than that, or can I get? And I'm like, look, I've got great news for you. You can get in for a lot less than that into this community, and then save your money for what we were talking about earlier, for the editing and cover design and those things that have to be paid for. So I want this community to be affordable. So this program, this course, this 4-week course is $57. I couldn't remember if I said 67. It's $57, period, for those on this webinar tonight and those who will be listening or watching the replay. So from now till Sunday night at midnight, it's $57. On Sunday night, it goes to $97, and that's the full price. That's all anybody's going to pay. So if you're interested, then where do you sign up? And it's a page on my website. So if you go to Perceptive Public Relations, now it's not on the navigation, so you can't go to Perceptive Public Relations, click on bestsellers. This is your link. Amy, will you put this link in the Facebook comments, please, so people can just click on it? So I'm going to go in a minute and ask some questions and let you put the answers in, but I just want to make sure. Oh, also make sure you know this is always a standard, but I want to remind you that everything you do, including if you hired me one-on-one to help you, if you're not happy, I give 100% back. I had a client last year, I think it was, very short time, and I got that it was a misunderstanding, and He said, I want you to keep the money. I've already paid you, but we won't do anything else together. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. If you're not happy with what we're doing, you get all of it back. I really seriously don't want to charge anybody that's not happy with it. And so I took him the check back, and we ended up having a great conversation. And he's like, nope, I really did not. It was, a bad day for me, all this stuff going on. So no, I want you to continue to work for us. So 100% guaranteed, always. Here's the link again: perceptivepublicrelations.com/bestseller. If you are in Facebook, if you're watching the Facebook Live and you want to join this course, again, the course starts February 12th, Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It's 4 weeks plus a bonus of Q&A. So we'll be finishing, so that's the second week in February, so we'll be finishing about the second week, third week in March, just in time to launch everything. So again, the reason I want you in this community, the reason I'm making this price so low that you cannot say you can't afford it. I will never want price to be a stumbling block. Honestly and truly, if you can't come up with $57, contact me. I'll pay it for you. So I want you in this program. I don't want money to be a barrier. So go sign up now, and remember that commitment. Remember the story. Think of me in the story of my eating almost 6 months. And if anyone had ever said to me, you can do it, which they do, honestly, there was that belief that, nope, I've tried it all. I've done it all. I've paid for it all. I've spent a fortune on weight loss. It didn't work. So it doesn't work for me. I'm just supposed to be this weight. I'm supposed to be this size. But the minute I got committed, the minute I was told either or, I'm done. I am done. I don't even have any cravings anymore. It's wonderful. So do you want to have a bestseller? Do you want to create a bestseller? Do you want to sell books? Period. Do you want to be the one that tells your friend or your family or your publicist or whomever you're talking to, I don't want to spend another dime on these books because I'm not selling. They're not selling. So I'm not spending another dime. So this is where you go to sign up. And now I'm going to stop screen sharing. And Sue, I am promoting you to panelist. And unfortunately, you're going to be like Amy, probably, that we won't be able to see you. And I apologize for that. I'm not sure. Somehow I set it up incorrectly from the beginning. Sue, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Unmute. Okay. Sue, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! I wish we could all see what you look like. I'm so sorry. So Sue and I have been working together now for 4 or 5 months, Sue, or 6 months?
About 5 months.
Okay. I've known Sue for a few years, and I want her to tell you her story. And Kathy Schultz, one of the reasons I want her to tell is because it's a little bit like your story you told me today. I want you to see. So Sue, I'm not going to say anything else. I just want you to tell your story.
Okay, I wrote 3 books, and I didn't do anything until I had 3 manuscripts totally finished, because I'd read a lot of blogs, and that's what they basically said. So I followed those instructions. And then when it was time for me to start looking around for how to publish, I was at a loss. I didn't know quite how to go about it. I listened to so many YouTube talks and everything. I even bought books on how to do it. It was very overwhelming. So I ended up going in that middle of the road, which is kind of my personality anyway. I didn't do it all by myself, but I didn't try to get into a big publishing house. So a lot of the big publishing houses have what they call publishing arms. and they are self-publishing arms of Random House, whoever. And I picked one of those, and it was very pricey, but it was one-stop shopping. They did the editing for you. They did the cover, which they really didn't do a cover. I got to pick a stock photo, which I was never happy with. They did the copyright. Now the copyright was always in my name. I had total control of my books up to a point. The problem is once the books are out there and they're at Barnes and Noble, and you could have gotten them on Amazon, and they were featured on Goodreads, all the really cool things that I thought, oh, we're off to the races here. There were problems, and there were problems that I would never have guessed. Like probably 20% of the pages were falling out of the books, pages were falling out of 20% of the books. I was getting phone calls from friends and family. I live in a small community, so I had them in all the private businesses around here that would carry them. And I had people driving up my hill to show me their books that were falling apart. I would call the publishing company. Oh, we're so sorry. You're the only person that's ever had this problem, which had to be a lie. And so I was almost ready to throw in the towel, and my niece, who knows Sandy, said, no, you got to talk to Sandy first. The thing is I did not know how to get an editor, how to get a cover designer, how to go about doing the copyright. I didn't know how to do any of that. And there wasn't one person that I personally knew that I was aware of that knew how to do these things. That's why I personally am so excited about the author community, is I don't want any other new author to go through what I did. And I don't even think I had a horror story. I just had an irritation story, and an expensive irritation. But I think if we can band together, like Sandy's talking about, and start not just sharing our stories, but start sharing, I used this editor, she was fine. I wasn't too thrilled about her. Maybe try this one over here. This guy's really good. If we can share those stories with one another, we're not going to be wasting money. And we're going to streamline our capability of getting our books out there, whether it's straight to Amazon or however else you choose to publish. I do think self-published authors need to band together. We do not have to be in the same geographical area. I think we need something like this. That's why when Sandy first mentioned it to me, I got really excited. I know personally people that are just starting to write and they don't know what to do. And I just say, be careful contracts that you sign. And that was the one thing that I did when I did sign the contract, is I said, who has the rights to my books? And they said, you will always have the rights to your books. And that is the one sticking point I had. And I am so grateful that I did, because of Sandy and her knowledge and her experience, I was able to pull from there. And then we just started all over again, basically.
And
so,
honestly, and Sue, one of the things I thought of as you're saying that is, you really hired me to be a publicist, but we've done no publicity yet because we spent this time so far getting the books ready.
Absolutely. Pulling them, redoing them, well, we didn't have to re-edit the first two, which were the ones that were out, but we had to have a cover design, and we had to have a formatter, and we had to have people that I didn't know even existed. It never dawned on me. And when you have one area, one person or one community that you can go to and say, how do I do this? How do I get a cover design? How do I find a formatter? It's so nice to have it all. It's going to be lovely to have it all in one spot.
I think it's, I'm so excited, and I'm so glad. And I asked Sue to share that with you tonight, because she's told me a few times that the thing that she values most about our relationship, and also the fact that she was in both courses last year, so she got to know all the other people that were in those courses, and we had 15 to 20 each time. Now, my goal for this community is a lot more than that. I have a huge vision for this community, and I want to spend I've already worked on my business plan for this year. My plan, it's not a goal, it's a plan. My plan is by the end of the year that almost half of the revenue will come from online services, because there's so many things we can do together. And if we do them together, then everybody shares the cost. And everybody shares the reward, because we're going to be doing the affiliate. So I'm really, really excited. So, Sue, thank you very much. Did you want to say, I didn't know if you were done or if I interrupted you. Sue, are you still there?
Muted.
Oh, she's muted. Okay. Okay, Sue, thank you very much. I won't unmute you and all that then. Just thank you for being there. I promise that when the course starts, this is honestly the first time I've ever not had video for the panelists. I'm not sure even how that happened. Anyway, we will definitely be kicking things off on the 12th. So one more time, let me tell you, I'm not going to bring up the PowerPoint again. I just want to say that beginning the 12th of February, if you go right now even if you're not ready to sign up, if you go right now, you'll see some of the things we're doing in the course, and you'll see what a great job Amy did with the landing page and all this. So that's all the kind of stuff that we're doing. One of the things, so you'll see in there some of the things we're going to be doing in this course. So to be specific, this course, I don't want to it's just how to be a bestseller. We have specific things planned for each week. And of course, one week is going to be social media. Amy will be leading that one. And, you might say, well, you had social media in your other course. And honestly, we could have a social media new course once a month forever, because it changes so often. And I know Amy, with a social media management company, subscribes to Social Media Examiner. So Amy, tell us some of the things that you do for you and your clients to stay on top of the changes in the social media world.
So Abundantly Social will get notified whenever Social Media Examiner goes live. We constantly review articles and play around with the social media platforms to see what's new. Make sure that we know how to use everything. That way, if there's something that's new that we think would be beneficial for our client, we usually recommend it, but we make sure that we know how to use it before we recommend it to a client. And I mean, a lot of it's just we constantly are looking for what's new and staying up to date. The best way for me to do that is through Social Media Examiner. I absolutely love them. They're my favorite. But that's pretty much how it is. So whenever there's a change, we usually go and play around with it and figure out a way to implement that for our clients and make sure that we're comfortable and they're comfortable with it.
And that's awesome. And that's one of the reasons I love working with Amy, because she does stay on top of everything. She does have her own company, Abundantly Social. She helps me with these courses. She helps all of my clients with their social media. So if you ever want to talk to Amy, I just gave her contact information out to someone today. If you want someone to actually do the work for you, then Amy and social media would be a great, you need to check with her, follow up with her. Right now, as a publicist, I'm not really taking on any new clients right now, because I want to get this kicked off. This is my passion. I'll go even further to say this is my purpose. This is something I've wanted to do and I think Brian's been a friend of mine probably longer than anyone else on the call. And I think Brian could attest to that. For as long as he's known me, I've wanted to do a membership site, want to do group coaching, something that would allow me to help more people and help them tell their story and help them reach their goals. So again, the link is in the Facebook, under the video, the Facebook Live, or my website, Perceptive Public Relations /bestsellers with an S. Make sure it has an S on it. And beyond that, if you have any questions or you want to talk to me about it or anything, let me know, because I would love to talk to you about it. And Amy, why don't you put your Abundantly Social link under the Facebook as well. So that way everybody can click on that link and see yours. So, yeah, so I'm glad I saw that you had put it there. So if you want to find out about Amy and all that she does, just click on the link. Thank you all so much for being here, for taking the time. I'm looking through the notes that were on the chat. So Kathy, Hawaii's and yay, I'm clapping because I will be there. Kathy's working on a book now that will be, she's working with a writer's coach. She's getting things to an agent, and her book will be Mayflower Chronicles. And she said when it makes the New York Times bestseller list, I get invited to the celebration party. So yay. Looking to see if anything else I needed to. Catherine, I'm glad you got Catherine Schwartz. I'm glad you got that. That's interesting. We got a Kathy Schultz and a Catherine Schwartz. How close can you get? So again, it's been an hour. Thank you for sharing an hour of your time with me, with us, with Amy and I. And sorry you didn't get to see Amy's beautiful face. We'll work on that for next time. So you guys are awesome. I love you. Thank you again. Thank you for those that joined us for the first time. Call me if you need anything. And again, go to that link and get signed up before Sunday night at midnight, because we will flip the switch that night. So good night. Have a great evening.